Trust me, I'm a good human being. If I see a child hurt or anything like that, I become very, very upset and very, very tired. Anyway, let's see the interview here. Okay, let me see if I can get it. I don't know. They're just going to give you a little. Oh, there you go. There's the lady. They should have gave us some Zambique, you know? You know Zambique? Okay, you see? Yes. Here we go. This is the British ambassador to England, and she was on his program about 2 days ago, and he destroyed her. Sorry for the way, because I changed the monitors. I don't have no time to redo them again, the way it looks. But let's just watch the interview and enjoy the interview and see how Piers Morgan dismantles her and actually become a reporter once in his lifetime. You know, he did this one time about 6 months ago, and then he just laid off. He probably got a phone call from Netanyahu. Let's see. Ready? Okay.
Against 26,000 terrorists, and you still haven't defeated them. Your strategy is failing. How many children have you killed?
Piers, Israel is not killing children. Israel is not killing children. Hamas is using them as human shields.
Israel is killing children every single day. And what you're trying to do is be very weaselly with your words.
No, I'm not.
The truth is, you are killing a lot of children. You would argue you're doing.
You know why it's caused?
Hang on, let me finish.
Hamas is using them as human shields, and you know that.
Let me finish my question to you. You are killing a lot of children on a daily basis. That is indisputable. My interesting question for you is, how come you know exactly how many Hamas terrorists you've killed, but you have no idea how many children you've killed? Several key points in the war on Hamas. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert has denied that Israel would kill civilians deliberately and denied the charge of war crimes. He now says this.
The statements made by Israeli cabinet ministers, the leading cabinet ministers, that say we should starve Gaza. What is it if not a war crime? I mean, how can a serious person...
Don't give these guys any cookies. When he was prime minister in 2014, he killed about 2,000 Palestinians and 500 children in Gaza. They're all criminals. It's just he was arrested, put in jail. Now, I don't know, people grow conscious. Maybe he's about to meet his maker, and he grew up conscious. So they're not angels.
Representing the Israeli government can spell it out in such an explicit manner that we should starve Gaza, that there should be no supply of basic fundamental humanitarian needs to a couple of million people living there. They are terrorists that we need to fight, but this is not a war against Hamas. This looks more and more like a political war of the Israeli Prime Minister and the cabinet and the group of thugs which are now representing the Israeli government inside Israel and across the world are committing actions which can't be interpreted in any other way.
Well, Olmert also said, and I quote, the government of Israel is currently waging a war without purpose, without goals or clear planning, and with no chances of success. Meanwhile, Ehud Barak, another former prime minister and former IDF chief of staff, says the war is now purely for Netanyahu's self-preservation. Yair Golan, an opposition voice and a former army deputy chief of staff, said Israel is, quotes, killing babies as a pastime, close quotes, and risks becoming a pariah state. These aren't radical Islamists or raging anti-Semites, but patriotic Israelis who think their country is losing the plot. Today, Israel announced that they've eliminated Hamas's chief in Gaza, Mohammed Sinwar, the younger brother of Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind behind the deadly attacks on October the 7th. That was seen as a huge win by Israel as they looked to justify the continued fighting. But how many innocent Palestinians are losing their lives as a consequence? Overnight, we saw more shocking scenes in Gaza as thousands of Palestinians overran an aid site run by a US and Israeli-backed group with the intention of taking control of food distribution away from the UN. Many experts believe that swathes of Gaza face imminent famine caused by an 11-week Israeli...
What they do, and I'm telling you, they're taking biometric photos of these men, and they will keep them as on record, and then they're probably putting stuff on the food, then they will go to kill them later. You'll see this. You're going to find this out later. This is how they think. This is how they think. They're just trying to see how many men are left.
Blockade, which is only now beginning to ease. how much longer can all this go on? Well, I'm joined by Israeli Ambassador to the UK, Zippy Hotovelli. Ambassador, welcome back to Uncensored.
Good evening, Piers.
Incredibly damning comments from two former prime ministers of Israel and a former deputy chief of staff of the Israeli army. When you hear what they have to say, surely it gives you pause for thought, doesn't it?
Well, it's quite obvious for someone like you that understands politics that those people are coming from the opposition. Their job, in their opinion, is to fight whatever the government is doing. I think it's very anti-patriotic not to support Israel's war when we are fighting the most justified war in the world against a terror group that committed the worst atrocities at the 7th of October. Just today, we remember 600 days that we still have 58 hostages in captivity. And I'm afraid to say, nowadays in Israel, you can't find even one leader that will say he's willing to live with Hamas on its doorstep. So if those people have any criticism, they should offer a plan how Hamas will be removed from the Gaza Strip.
See, this is in media. So when you watch a media, every time they have the guest and they're going to question him, they let him go off. They give him like 3-4 minutes just to take a shit, Go ahead, have diarrhea of the mouth. Let him get his stuff through, his talking points. Then if there's a real reporter, then you take over the conversation. Right now, he's just letting her have diarrhea of the mouth. Let her just talk how good she is, how Hamas is bad.
Controlling the doorstep of Israel, not committing the 7th of October again. I didn't get to hear that, not from European leaders that are criticizing Israel, and not from those opposition former leaders. So I must say that in the end of the day, Israel has a serious threat on its security. You will agree with that. No one wants to see people being massacred in their homes like we've seen at the 7th of October. And in order to do that, the aims of the war are still relevant. We want to bring back our hostages, and we want to make sure Hamas won't control the Gaza Strip. Every leader in the
She's British, and she speaks fluent English, and she'll still try to act. She's part of the group, Hamas. She could say Hamas. Anybody could say the H word. But this is how phony and fake they are, these people. Everything they say is a lie. I swear to God. I swear to God, man. Everything I read in history in World War II, I don't believe no more. I don't. Because when I saw how outrageous their lies are after October 7th, it's so outrageous and unreal, unrealistic, and mind-boggling. Why would I believe what they said 50, 60, 70 years ago happened? A lot of people died in World War II. The Bengalis in India, 3 million Bengalis died of starvation because Churchill took away their food stock because someone fell into the hand of the Japanese, and they starved to death in 1 year in 1943. You don't see us, they turned them into soap. I don't believe you no more. I don't. I'm sorry.
World, in the Western world, agrees
on those
I just
don't believe it, man. It's lies.
You and I have spoken regularly or on a number of occasions throughout this war. I've always said from the start, as you know, that Israel had an absolute right and indeed duty to its people to defend itself after those appalling attacks. And my position about that hasn't changed. But I also kept asking one question, which was, what is a proportionate response?
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you that in the last few weeks, I have found the Israeli government strategy in Gaza to be utterly disproportionate. And I'll explain to you why. When you launch a blockade for nearly 3 months to a population which already has seen much of their possessions, their land, their buildings, their homes decimated by bombardment after bombardment, when you say that you're going to launch a blockade on aid and food to a population where 50% are under 18, you are pursuing, it seems to me, as Ehud Olmert said, a policy of starvation towards, obviously, because of the nature of the population in Gaza, of a lot of children. And that is a war crime. I mean, what else do you call it?
I think when you look at the facts, and you should look at the facts, letting in 25,000 trucks with tons of aid, this is not a policy of starvation. Now,
there's no fucking 25,000 truck, you fat. Maybe those 25 trucks went to your house. See how fat you look? That's where those trucks went. 25,000 trucks. People, this is the lie. Look at, that's too big of a lie. She could say 500 trucks, 1,000, 25,000, she said. Why do you lie like that? It makes you look real bad, and it shows your truth is in your true colors that you're an evil people. The Zionists I'm talking about. Let's get it right here. The Zionists.
Let me tell you what was Israel's policy from the beginning of the war. From the beginning of the war, we created a very clear distinction between the terrorists. We're talking about 50,000 people that embedded themselves in population, as you know. Just now, you just mentioned Mohammed Sinwar. He was found under a hospital, under the European hospital. He was hiding there because he knows exactly how the world reacts when Israel attacks hospitals. But those hospitals being abused and being used as a terror facilities. This is why Israel is allowed to operate there. Now, I'm going back to the policy of aid. In the last few days, as you know, Israel is launching a new program, a new mechanism to deliver aid because, unfortunately, and I'm saying that with a
I told you in the last video, the last show, that this aid is nothing but a con. It is a hustle to try to get the Palestinian to lure them with food. Like, you do mouse. These people are evil. They make them walk 9 miles to get a box of food at the border of the Egyptian border. They're trying to get them out of the wreckage from northern Gaza, from western Gaza. They are trying to get rid of them or put them in small places, like small groups, and get rid of them. You will see there's more evil to come. You haven't seen nothing yet, my friends. Hold on. Let me just finish this.
Big pain. Hamas was looting the aid that all the world wanted to be let into Gaza. Now, everyone is interested that the population won't be starving. We don't want to see pictures of children that don't have something to eat. We all share the same interest. But at the same time, if Hamas is looting the aid, then we are empowering the war machine. And according to the international law, no country in the world has obligation to feed the war machine of the enemy. And this is what happened in the last few months. This is why Israel had to change the mechanism. This is why
When the United States invaded Afghanistan, we parachuted food to the Afghani people. That's what countries do with the United States in an evil war against the Afghan people. We found it that we had to feed the population, and we parachuted peanut butter and jelly and things like that with high calories so we could keep the population not to starve to death because of the war.